This is our third session of our financial literacy series. And tonight we're going to be talking about avoiding holiday overspending and the pitfalls of that overspending for the holidays. We are very, very excited to have a very special guest speaker this evening. Tonight we have Ms. Janice Cantu, and she is the Associate Director of Case Management with the SA Hope Center in San Antonio. Ms. Cantu graduated high school from Gateway Christian School and attended the University of Texas at San Antonio for her bachelor's degree in psychology. She then attended Our Lady of the Lake University and received her bachelor's and master in social work. She was previously employed at Northside ISD and Alamo Mental Health Group when she began working at the SA Hope Center in 2016. She came as an intern for her practicums and then was hired as a case manager. Due to her work ethic, she was promoted to the Assistant Director of Case Management and serves by overseeing the financial literacy program and their program's database. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Janice Cantu.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate and I'm excited for this opportunity to be able to be here with you all. This is very unique setting for me. I have, as mentioned, I do oversee our literacy program here at SA Hope Center, but I haven't been able to do it with students. So this is a very exciting opportunity. I'm very grateful for this. As mentioned, my name is Janice Cantu, and I serve as the Assistant Director of SA Hope Center. Just a little bit about what SA Hope Center, who we are and what it is. We are a faith-based nonprofit here in San Antonio, Texas. We have several locations. I'm primarily, and where I'm at right now is the main location. And we're located off of General McMullen between St. Mary's and Our Lady of the Lake University. And we offer wraparound case management services to families who are in need and come from all different walks of life. And so we do provide food and clothing as direct services. But our main goal at the SA Hope Center is to build relationships with our families and to help them become self-sufficient. And so we do that in a variety of ways of providing programs to them. And one of them is our financial literacy program. But we also have a parenting program, senior program, educational program. We just are starting up our housing program, which we're very excited to be partnering with the city of San Antonio to help individuals and families who are either experiencing homelessness or experiencing any type of crisis when it comes to their housing situation. And so we're in the process of beginning that program here in these days. And so we're really excited about the partnership that we've had with the city to be able to be granted the funds to be able to help the families and individuals that we serve here. And then we also help out with, overall, we just do our case management with the families, building service plans with them and helping them work towards the goals that they have, that they want to reach. And so, we do that through the different programs that we have. And as I mentioned, financial literacy is one of our programs that we have here at SA Hope Center. We teach the curriculum that we use is the Dave Ramsey curriculum. I had the privilege of being certified shortly after I received my master's and getting certified as a financial social worker. So I do a lot of one-on-one financial coaching, building budgets with families, teaching them the difference between needs and wants and how to build a zero-based budget. And so I'm, very familiar with the basics of financial literacy. By no means I'm still growing in my knowledge. And within the course that I took to become a financial social worker, we were given several curriculums to be able to use. And one of them is what I'm going to share with you today. And it's called the 6 Simple Steps to a Debt-Free Holiday. And let me share my screen here with you guys. I do have a presentation to share. So 6 simple steps to a debt-free holiday. Ready or not, we are in this season of holidays already. I can't believe it. I was sharing with someone earlier. It's unbelievable to me, how, with everything that's going on this year, the thought of Thanksgiving being next week and then Christmas shortly coming after that, um, it's unimaginable. And I'm sure, a lot of us have experienced a lot of different things during the season of the pandemic. But the season is upon us. And it's a time of year where we want to be able to do our best, financially. um, Oftentimes we find ourselves not doing financially well during the season. We tend to find ourselves having a lot of stress, for different reasons, right? And so I want to be able to dig into a little bit of what that would look like, and some of the aspects when it comes to the financial part. So what is it what's this for you, right? um, what are we going to get out of what we're going to talk about today? um, and unrealistic expectations can only lead to disappointing outcomes. So if you have an unrealistic expectation when it comes to looking at your finances, it can lead to a disappointing outcome, because it might not be accomplished to the best of what you want it to be. And I always like to look at, um, when it comes to our finances, a lot of times we say, okay, well, I have to make a sacrifice of X, Y, and Z to be able to, be able to move forward. But in reality, it's an opportunity for us to move forward financially and begin to work towards, having those better choices and better, improvements in our finances. So it is about making a choice that will improve your life forever and not just for a short period of time. Um, and that all working towards it does help us emotionally and have a financially stable future for ourselves and for our family members. So it's a dedication to an ongoing success for us. In this program, we're gonna talk about, specifically holiday debt and stress, having a budget and connecting it to the true meaning of the holiday. And you really can apply this to, a lot of different aspects when it comes to not just the holidays, but like, birthdays and things like that. You can also apply that to this. um, I think the first thing is recognizing why you want to make these changes, with your relationship with your money. Making that connection of why I'm wanting to do this will obviously help in that success part. Um, and it makes a big difference when we make it very clear about what we want that process to be and how we want it to be. um, when we do that, we are able to connect those choices we're making and the purpose and things like that to what we're doing. One of the forms, that I believe was given to you or will be given to you, here, is going to be a commitment statement. And it's a debt-free holiday commitment form. And it has several, statements that you would fill out. The first one talks about, I'm making a commitment to myself because. And so, you want to do this commitment because you don't want to feel, you want to feel less stressed, or I want to be financially free, or I want to, get, um, don't want to go into debt during the season. So making a commitment, what is it that your why, and having that written down. And then it looks at several other questions that you can go through. But it's really a commitment form for yourself, so that you know how to plan for this holiday season. So it has, several statements of, I'm making the choice of this because, and I want to, one thing I want to do tomorrow to make myself debt free or have a debt free holiday, a reality is. And so there's different forms. So I encourage you, as if you when you look into this form, take some time to utilize it. It is a good tool, to be able to know where you're going towards, this holiday season. The 6 steps that we're going to be looking at today, is are these steps right here. Step number 1 is making that choice in the commitment. Step 2, creating your spending plan and log. Step 3, developing a holiday spending guideline. 4, be or stay informed and using apps, right? What does that look like? Step 5, embrace motivation, support, and self-care. And step 6, assess, update, and reinforce daily. So step 1 is making that choice. And we kind of went through that already with the commitment form, right? The pledge to commitment. But change is a choice. Commitment is the method by which you fulfill that choice. And so filling out something that will help you stay connected to what is your plan, what do you pledge to yourself to do financially during this season, and what do you want to take hold of. Having that plan is going to be a good experience to be able to determine where you want to get to. Step 2 is create your spending plan log. So in the packet that they'll give you, or if you have it as well, you'll have several forms. You'll have a gift expense form, a supplementary holiday form, and then a holiday spending log. And these are just tools that you can use. The gift expense form is a gift giving, form where you can just write out everything that you're going to be spending on, what are possible gift options, what's an alternative gift, and for you just to kind of write everything out. One of the things I teach in our financial literacy program is that when you write something out, it makes a whole lot of difference, because you are visually seeing what you're spending. So even if you've already began to shop for the holiday seasons, which I started a couple of weeks ago, because this is a plan that I wanted to make sure that I didn't have stress for the season, right? On top of everything else that we're going through. So I began to slowly do some gift shopping here and there. And so, if you've already started that, or you already have ideas, writing everything out, like who, I made a list. Who am I going to be able to, give a gift to this year? What's my budget for it? What are some possible, if I don't find that, what's another option? Or if it goes out of my budget, what's another option for me to stick in, right? Into there. So kind of having an idea of what would a gift cost and estimate it. Um, the supplementary holiday form or expense form is like for, the gift wrapping, the simple things that we don't really think about. We forget that, we need to buy maybe the tape or the wrapping paper and things like that. That could be, going for a whole, for several gifts that you're doing. But things like that, or maybe just entertainment that you're going to be doing throughout the season, maybe travel, decorations that you're doing. So maybe not necessarily giving gifts to others, but then, just that stuff, holiday stuff for yourself, and for your household. And so it's just another form to keep track of items as well. And then the holiday spending, is another budget form that you can use, and like, what did you actually spend on this, and what's the remaining amount that you have for that time that you after you spent it. So it's a little bit more detailed, and then something that again you can use. The holiday spending log will help you limit the impulse buying. And so we tend to go to the store and we see, oh well, this is on sale, so I'm just going to buy this because it's only a couple of dollars. But staying within that spending plan that you have would be great, right? So those are some tools of how to help create your spending plan and log. One of the things that I like to talk about here is, obviously the gift part. Gift giving is is obviously a big thing that we do during this holiday season. And so regardless of a gift being an expectation of the holiday season, or your gift is not sacred, it is totally permissible for you to edit, revise, and reevaluate everything. The gift obviously is just something that you're giving to someone, a loved one, right? And it doesn't have to be super big. You can see here from this holiday kind of graph that I have here, the most of our gifts, or expenditures that we do throughout this season 60% of that goes to gifts for family members. And so we tend to spend a lot more for them because we feel maybe, we owe them for the whole year for what we did, making up for some time or something else. um, we might feel that stress of having to buy a really perfect gift and a really expensive gift for someone, for a loved one. But regardless of that, right, is really evaluating what can I do with the income and the money that I have, staying within my budget, not making it more stressful than that I need to for myself, and then obviously for the loved one as well. So step 3 would be to develop 5 holiday spending guidelines. Um, and I have actually, I'm going to go to one other slide here. There's some examples of holiday guidelines that you could follow. My encouragement through this one is to at least pick out 2 to 5 of them, 2 to 5 of these holiday spending guidelines, and choose which ones you want to stick with. Because it is a little bit hard, right? Just to do all of them. If you can do all of them, that's great. But just a small number to make commitment to. And guidelines, like I will not shop when I'm tired, or I will give my permission to make at least 20% of my gifts instead of buying all of them. So just choosing, some guidelines that you want to have for yourself. I believe that with the guidelines, it helps us, again, be motivated to what's our end goal? Why am I in this? Why do I want to make a choice to be better financially and have more of a debt-free holiday or stress-free holiday, so I'm not having to have that stress on me. So, choosing a couple of these will help with that process. Um, So identifying 3 major holiday spending problems you've had over the past 3 years, kind of this would go more back into like historical thinking, like what has been my experience in the past, and what do I want to change? How do I want to change that moving forward? Um, and I always talk about this when we build a monthly budget, period, or just a basic monthly budget, is you always want to look back at what is your historical spending, so you know how to set your budget. A lot of times, people say, well, I can just tell you what my budget is right now, and they can go through all the major expenses that they make. um, but again, if we have to, in order to make a budget, it does take 3 to 4 months to know what your budget is going to be. And that's because you have to look at your historical spending, because every month is different. And so if you're able to look at the last at least 3 years, right? Or maybe just even last year, what was your, what were some of the problems that you had during your spending? And so looking at some of those things and choosing, okay, how do I want to move forward and be better at this? Or how can I move forward and be better at this? And then identifying those 2 to 5 basic behavioral changes, right? Which would go with the spending guidelines. So choosing 2 to 5 of these guidelines here. Number 4 would be using some of the budgeting and administrative tools that we talked about already, as far as the gift cost estimates, the supplementary cost estimates, holiday spending, budget form. Um, so some budgeting tools that you could use, just specifically geared to this holiday season. Um, and then stay informed with price comparisons, best deals, sales that are going on. um, Nowadays, because we're doing a lot of more shopping online, is kind of browsing and checking what are some sales that are happening on Amazon or other online shopper things that you can go through. Google, I know Google's great for me. Like I just put in something and it tells me all the different prices from different vendors. And so you can look at that using different apps, whether it be Groupon or um, I know one of the biggest apps I'm using right now is the Cash App. If you're not familiar with it, it's a app that you can use. You can transfer money from if I need to transfer to someone, it transfers money to them. But it also comes with a tool where you could use your debit. It's connected to your debit card. When I use my debit card, it gives me percentages off at certain places, or even like it'll send me sometimes like $5 off. And so I've been able to use that tool for like my food expenditures each month. By looking at different rewards and different coupons, different apps that can benefit, especially during the season. A lot of them are going to start going out, or have, if they haven't already, right, going out with the sales that they're going to be having. So looking at the different prices and sales that other stores are having. Um, there's a bunch of coupon apps, right? Coupons that you could do. I know one of my coworkers is really big into couponing. Sometimes I look at her and I'm like, I don't know how you do that to keep track of all that, but it's awesome. Like she's able to get all these different deals because she does couponing. But looking into things like that, couponing, whether it be for gift items or just holiday meals, things like that. Um, so guidance on when to buy, right? So decide, lets you know the likelihood of the price fluctuation, um, when to buy it. Maybe if you wait till like a Black Friday deal, or maybe after Black Friday it'll go on the sale. So kind of just doing again some just research on when to buy the item. I know after the holiday season, I tend to go back and buy like Christmas items for my house, like decorations for the next year, because it's already, it's on sale. Um, and so, having just a guidance on when to buy items. Recycling clothing and healthy buying. Um, there's nothing wrong. I always love to say, there's nothing wrong with thrift store buying. I love going to thrift stores. I love going to, these secondhand stores that, there's great items in there. Sometimes you can even find an item that still has a tag on it, and it was just, either sold back or donated or whatever. But, it there's nothing wrong with recycling clothing and healthy buying. There's even apps for it, like Poshmark, the Facebook app, right, that has all these marketplace apps that you can buy or sell, right, gently used items, whether it be clothing, accessories, tools, and all these other things that you can find with that people are selling online. So also being informed with something like that. Step number 5 is to embrace motivation, support, and self-care. So here's a list of things that you can do, right? And one of those is also to do let me see here, is also to do a self-assessment. I was trying to see which one I sent you guys, but you guys should have received or will receive a holiday self-assessment. And it'll give you again some just basic statements that you can write in. But embracing yourself with motivation, surround yourself with the people who are going to be like-minded, things that that are going to help you get to where you want to be financially during this season. um, and then remind yourself, what is your why are you committing to something different this season? Why are you wanting to make a different you know gift idea, or different financial change in your life, um, so that you remember why you're doing this. Identify your spending triggers. When do you um, it helps you not fall into traps, right? So it helps you, if I go to the store when I'm hungry, I'm going to tend to buy more because I'm hungry. Or I might, if I go to the store when I'm just trying to, I'm in a hurry, I'm not really looking for a sale, I'm just trying to get the next quick item so I can get out of there quick. So just identify those spending triggers. um, Differentiate between needs and wants. This is a big one. I also teach needs and wants in our financial literacy, and I think that's a big thing when it comes to looking at finances. Is what is it that our household needs, and what is it that our household wants? And that can go for every season, right? That we're looking into, is looking at what are those needs and what are those wants. Maybe not necessarily for the gift part, right? But more for yourself. Does my house need another Christmas tree? And it's like, no, we already have, we can use the one from last year. Does my house, things like that, that maybe more for your household. Simplify your life, less is more. Um, I know that helps with those who tend to be a little bit more anxious because the holidays are coming up and you're having to do a lot of more decorations. But simple is okay. Um, Learn to breathe. Start breathing through your nose, and take those deep breaths. I know that the season, aside from it becoming the holidays coming up, I know that we're still in a time of the pandemic. So learning how to breathe and relax, right? To take that time to really consider what is this season going to mean for me and my family, and staying focused on what we want to do financially and where we want to be at, in the new year. And then, like I mentioned already, recognizing your stress triggers. You identify what your spending triggers are, but then recognizing where do the triggers come when it comes to stress. If we all deal with it, mentally and physically. But if you're able to recognize, then it will reduce the opportunity for those triggers to come about. Do less. If you think that it's not realistic or possible, think again. There's always a way to reduce your personal, um, workload if you really want to, and so learning to do less and to prioritize things. Make a to-do list. um I especially, like, again, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to like gift, figuring out who am I going to give for gifts, start at that to-do list. Like, okay, I need to, this is the list I'm going to get. I'm going to stick to this list. No one else is getting added. um and so we'll stick to this is what we have. Plan ahead. The more prepared you are for any situation, the less stress it causes. um Exercise, reduce caffeine and alcohol intake, don't smoke. Those all affect your physical life, but then also then in regard to turns around and affects our mental health, and it causes more stress, and things like that. So learn to bring joy into your life. I know this, again, we look at this season and sometimes it's like, well, it's we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Everything's still up in the air, right? But doing what we can to make the best of the situation, right now. And what are we doing to spend time with our loved ones? And how can we do that to bring joy into our life? Sleep is a big one. You know, Learning to replenish our body, our spirit, and our soul through this, will definitely help embracing our motivation to move forward financially in a better situation. um, Reaching out if stress is too much, creating that physical and emotional, problems, contact someone who can help you, who can help you commit to what you want to do and help you to, keep you accountable to what your financial goals that you want to reach throughout the season. And denial and avoidance will only increase your problems. So again, I think that just goes back to, um, again, what is your commitment to this, and sticking with your commitment, learning how to, um, recognize what is it that some things I struggle with, and how can we move forward and work through those together. Number 6 is to assess, update, and reinforce daily. So this is the most important step because, again, it's all about a behavioral change. And so you want to assess what is it my commitment each day. What is it that I'm going to commit to for this season? If you need to update a couple of things, you update it. Um, but you're looking back on this on a daily basis, and reinforcing those things that the whys that you're doing this, and reinforcing those things that you want to get through each day, during the season, the maybe the steps that you have, or the different, guidelines that you have chosen for spending. Recognizing those each day so that you can stay committed to those, because it is going to be where and when that change is going to happen. I talked about a little bit through this, at the beginning, but the different tools that we have. There's also a journaling page that you're welcome to use. I always encourage my class, members that have attended either this class or just other classes before, is writing it really helps, whether you're budgeting or you're writing down your goals, like what do you really want to do. Journaling has a way deeper, effect on us when we mentally, when we start to write down what are some of the goals that we have. And so there is a journaling page. As I mentioned, the self-assessment, how did you do during the weekend that you decided to go spend? And so, just kind of using some of these tools to be able to assess some of the challenges that you had, some of, recommitting to some things that you want to change. Maybe if you've already started the Christmas shopping, the holiday shopping, and you've already feel like you messed up, okay, well, how can I improve tomorrow? How can I improve the next time I go shopping? So there's just some tools on there that you definitely could use during this season, that we've shared with you. And that is what I have for today for the portion that I created as far as um, the PowerPoint. I don't know if there's any questions or just discussions that anybody, maybe some things that some people have struggled with in the past. Um, it's just a time to be able to talk with one another.
I have something that I wanted to say. I know that while you were speaking about your presentation, one of the things I can't help but it continues to stay in my mind is that perfect gift, focusing on that perfect gift. And I, over the years, and I want to say more or less, probably from about age 16 or 17, I've always struggled with, oh, I want to get the perfect gift. I want to get something nice. And yes, finding all of these different things of what can I afford, when can I get it, staggering when I buy gifts because I knew my income was at a certain point. And then at college, it just got rougher. And then it got really rough when I got to graduate school. So we do all these great things in our lives, but we know we have to sacrifice in other places. And I personally, I had parents who were first generation college students, particularly my mother, and she knew of that wanting to buy a nice gift but couldn't afford it. So now my mindset is how can I find a happy balance between finding an appropriate gift that is also meaningful or leaves a lasting memory, or people talk about now buying an experience. And true enough, I have a great job now and I'm able to like actually buy experiences for like I have young nieces, and I'm able to buy those higher end things, like possibly things like a SeaWorld pass or a time frame when they would come to visit or something like that. But also thinking about, well, if I'm still on a budget, what can I buy that's meaningful? Maybe I can take mom out to dinner and it's just the two of us. Yes, I've done things as cheesy as IOUs and cooked something for my mom or said, hey, here's your golden ticket or something. So being creative with it is just as important as the gift you give, because sometimes your time is almost more valuable, or that experience with that person, than the gift themselves. You'd be surprised the things that I would have conversations with my family members about gifts that we've given, and they've been so simple. Very simple things we didn't have to pay a whole lot of money for, but just being mindful of what a person really enjoys. We talk about oh God, his name is, I believe his name is, they talk about the 5 love languages and knowing someone's love language. Chapman is the Gary Chapman, I believe it's Gary Chapman. He talks about the 5 love languages, and I know it wasn't mentioned here, and we talk more about Dave Ramsey, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. The 5 love languages, I always like to reference that, especially in our workplace, like knowing someone. But that actually brought into mind, like, someone that I'm really close to, she would prefer me making something for her and being more meaningful than being buying her a blouse or buying her um something that I know that she would enjoy for herself, but it's more of those making things that she realizes, like, I can see the emotion behind it, and she gets, um it's more of her love language because it's given to her, because there was time put into it. So definitely thinking of gifts like that is a more rewarding way at times with the people. So
we have a comment that's here in the chat as well. And Peggy says to everyone, it is awkward when someone tells you that they have a gift for you, but you didn't plan on buying them one. And I think personally myself, when I think of this, you want to be gracious and you want to say thank you, but I'm also, I will actually say to them realistically, wow, you really caught me off guard. And I truly, genuinely mean it when that happens. But I think sometimes for me, when that happens, I try to say, you know what, let's do coffee later, so you can give it back later. You're able to then go back to your budget. So it is that rain check without saying the word rain check.
Right, right.
But yeah, she makes a very good point on that. Were there any things that you might want to comment on that as well?
I think that is a good example, it, saying the rain check but without saying it, right? And I think that is a good way to, it goes back to, spending that quality time with someone, and thinking of another, how can I bless them, after they've went out of their way and got me a gift as well. So being creative, and again, it might not be soon after, it might be the next month you have to wait, and that's okay, but um still taking a moment to recognize where you're at financially, and um, that would be helpful as well.
So Janice, I have a something that I struggle with, and I think a lot of people do, and that's that kind of, I just want to make everybody happy, and so it's hard for me to say no, even if it's like for an event, or we want you to come to a cocktail party or whatever, and so it's sometimes you have that feeling of I really can't afford to go there and bring gifts for everybody and everything, that there's always that kind of I don't want to say no, and or if I do say no, especially if it's close friends or even family, and I think family is even harder when you have to kind of say I can't make it, or I can't do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach that, or how can we kind of it's never okay saying no. I mean, if you're somebody who is like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so but how can you kind of work through those feelings of I don't want to let anyone down?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we can tie it back to what we talked about, is thinking like, I'm not letting anybody down now, I can maybe plan for something later. And then one of the other things that came to mind right now is just being present with people, not necessarily buying a present for them while you're gifting them during, but I think of some friends of ours, we tend to get all together for birthdays and things like that. Well, I know there was one friend for the longest time, we just never understood, like, they would go and have dinner, be there with us while we eat dinner, but they would never eat. And it was like, why? Like, but we never questioned it. But the presence of that person there was so helpful, because it just made things every more so, it made everything else make sense. Just the commitment they made to being there, being present. But we later found out it was because they were working on something financially to get somewhere, and they were like, I made some changes, but I didn't want to lose out on opportunities to build relationships and to build friendships, and build those memories. And so I think thinking about a little bit outside the box, like, how can I during this holiday season be there for my family, be there for events that are going to happen, but not necessarily participate in the whole thing, because maybe I can't financially afford it right now. Um, and then goes back to saying no to certain things. It's okay, and being okay with that. I think planning out. If I know right now it's a little bit different with the season, right? But if you have kids and you're like, okay, well, they have Christmas plays coming up, and holiday events, things that they're going to have to be involved in, then knowing, okay, well, then what is our plan going to be financially to make sure that these things are happening within the lifestyle of the activities that we're going to be involved in. So.
I wanted to make a comment on something that you said here
Mhm.
about knowing, or you were talking about your friends that came to an event but they didn't eat, or we see certain things like that. And I think that when we find out someone is saving money, they have a huge goal that they are working towards. I know I'm partially in that process now where there's significant life changes. Or let me give you an example, or a family decides that they're going to start having children, and then the more children you have, the little more that budget gets thinner and thinner. I wanted to share this because my family, what we decided to do, this is our second year now, but we pull for one adult, and then we spend money on the children, which there's 3 children, they're all girls. So everyone kind of lavishes on the children. They're getting stuff from everyone, aunts, uncles, all that. But we as the adults are now pulling for one name, and we still have that feeling of, oh, we can go out and buy this nice gift. We set a budget at $50 per person, and we only get one adult, and then we choose to do the rest for the children. And that was out of the fact that my brother was buying from both sides of his family. And then to make matters worse, my birthday is in the month of December. And I told my family members, I said, look, I'm blessed. I'm good. I actually don't need these gifts. Now, they're nice to receive them, but I actually don't. I have more stuff than what I will ever need. I really value time, or I value sitting down and having a meal, because I don't get to see my family every day. So when you talked about gifts or people wanting to buy something big, and that's because they feel like they've missed that gap of time, that could be an experience. I know we have 2 college students that are with us as well. When you're working with school, you feel like that you're missing out on things because you're having to be devoted to your studies. And I think that's why some of us have that guilt when we're in school or we're going through school, that, oh, we're not spending that time we used to spend and hang out with them all the time, because now we're committed to another really big educational goal. So those are things to think about. And I think when we know that others in our family are doing that, there's ways that we can help them. And it's not so overt of, oh, they can't pay for it, versus, oh, how are we now inclusive of everybody, and everybody gets to partake on this, but don't have to spend as much.
Right, right. And that is a good example. I know my family, we do that as well. On one side of the family, where there's many of us. And so, pulling names and just focusing like maybe on the nieces and nephews, or just the cousins and or whatnot. But it does help, having those different out thinking outside the box. How can we, again, like you said, be inclusive of everybody's situation, and knowing that as a big family, how can we still be together and still be able to financially buy gifts for one another. And then also, I know you mentioned something. I think you mentioned something in the sense that being committed, right, to a goal right now, like for students in school, they're having to look and think, okay, well, I'm sacrificing time, and things like that. And so I think, again, it just goes back to that saying, it's an opportunity, right? It's not a sacrifice, it's an opportunity. Yes, you're changing right now your lifestyle, but like Dave Ramsey says, right, the big phrase Dave Ramsey says, you're living right now like no one else, so that later on you're living like no one else. And you're living right now like no one else, being committed to school or being committed to whatever you're doing, so that later on you're living like no one else, right? You're living a life of financial freedom, a life of being, having a higher education, and different, whatever your commitment is, and looking always back is what is your why, and reminding yourself, why are you in this season right now? What is your end goal to it?
I would just add, and Chastity knows I work very hard at Dave Ramsey, but I think one of the greatest things that's been helpful for me is finding a support network that appreciates what I'm doing. We have a tendency sometimes as humans to try to drag each other down. If I'm in debt, I want you to be in debt. If I'm, if I'm putting everything on a credit card, why don't you put everything on a credit card? We'll be in debt together, and so it's hard when one person decides, I'm no longer going to behave in this way. And so I think for me, finding, that group of people, and I'll tell you, the people at work got tired of hearing me say, I'm doing Dave, but finding that group of people that, cheer you on and say, no, I get it, great, good job. And then when you do start paying off that debt and you are starting to be able to be more in control of your finances and being able to be more in control of that amount of money that's coming in, and you deciding where it's going instead of it kind of leaving your hands very quickly, being able to share those successes with people who are supportive. So
Mhm.
I think that's huge, to try to make sure that you're finding those support networks.
Mhm.
I know, for me, I know Dave Ramsey has a whole bunch of them on social media. There's a whole bunch, there's, you know, Dave Ramsey moms, Dave Ramsey families, there's all the groups.
Mhm.
And they're strangers, but at the same time, you can go on there and say, I paid off this debt. And you get like 1,000 people going, oh my gosh, that's so great. I can't wait till I'm there. That's my next one. Or, and so I think it's really great when you can find those people, because when you do have those moments, like I said earlier, where you feel bad because you're like, gosh, I've said no again. I've let these, I've had to say no more than I've said yes. You have that support group that says, but you're living right now like no one else, so that you can live and give like no one else. So,
Right.
so I would recommend, finding that support group, whether it's with your friends, your family. Talk about it, let them know what your goals are, and say, this is why I'm doing this. This is important to me. And, I appreciate your support. And, just know that sometimes people will want to sabotage you, they'll tell you, oh no, debt's normal, everybody is in debt. Don't worry about it. Like, well, I want to be, as Dave Ramsey says, I want to be weird. I don't want to have debt. So, but finding those people that will support you on this journey, and
Mhm.
this holiday season, maybe that first kind of, hey, I want to try this year. I really want to see what this is going to look like. And
Yeah.
please support me. Please, please help me in this journey. So
Mhm.
huge impact to have a support network that is behind you and cheering you on through this journey.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. I say that that's probably the second thing, the most important thing. Is the first one is your commitment, right? Knowing like the commitment you want to make to yourself to change this financial behavior, but then two, finding that accountability partner or finding that network system that's going to help you. Because it's like everything, right? Like I always in my classes I always go back to, like, I want to lose weight and I want to lose it weight now, but if I'm not committed to it, or if I don't have someone who's going to help me be committed to it, and it's not because we need that hand holding, but we need, someone who's going to walk that life when we fall down and we feel like we can't get back up to start again. That person is going to be there to push us and to help us remember what our why is, right? And so I think accountability partners, network systems is a definite need for this.
Well, we do have about 8 minutes left in this workshop. We do have two students that are on here as well. Our students, do you guys want to make any comments at this time, or maybe your interest in why you came to our workshop for today, our financial literacy workshop?
The reason I came is because I was kind of curious about holiday budgeting spending. I didn't really think about that before I even came to college.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I definitely, I think, I don't remember a time, even in college, thinking about holiday spending. I think I wasn't living a lifestyle of thinking financially. But now that as I've gotten older and I have learned, the different things about financial behavior, and I've, awfully obviously dealt with the stress of being in debt, and now I see what the other side looks like. It's nice. But yeah, this is awesome that, as a young student or a student in college, you're able to learn about what is this holiday spending, budgeting, making budgets. Um, I was sharing with the student, I also am highly involved with our youth at my church. And one of the students came to me the other day and he was like, I got a $56,000 scholarship to a school. I'm like, that's great. $56,000 less than what you're going to be in debt. Like, to know what that is now, being in debt because I was in school, um, now knowing, okay, I can work through the holidays to have the money, the financial means to be able to purchase things, things that I wish I would have learned as a student in college that I didn't take advantage of. But even just, learning the basics of budgeting is going to help so much throughout your time as a student in college, and then moving forward is into the adult life and working full time and things like that. Um, it makes a huge difference when you begin to learn and implement these things um, at at whatever stage.
Ms. Janice, thank you so much for presenting for us today. This was a wealth of knowledge,
You're
some
welcome.
great information for me to also take back in and actually put into the application. But also, you did a wonderful job of kind of reminding me that this can be also tweaked for those large scale goals that you have. Because I was looking at how can I tweak this for the goal that I have going into 2020, praying that 2021 is not the way that 2020 was, both the pandemic and some of the things that we saw throughout this year. So we're hoping that we can wrap this 2020 year up on a good note and end the best we can for this year. But I wish everyone the best financial health ever, and these financial literacy workshops are a part of that.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.